Guys, today we're going to talk about contingency agreements. What are they? Why are they so important? And why do you need them? Let's dig in. Contingency agreement is extremely important, especially if you're doing insurance work. And it's extremely important for a couple reasons. Number one, it's going to improve your closing ratio. So what I mean by that is a lot of times, and especially during insurance work, and I know Cliff can attest to this.
Oh yeah, I've learned, that's for sure.
If you don't have a contingency in place, there's nothing like free money. And some homeowners, unfortunately, and even business owners, they'll run off with that money. And as much as we like to think everybody is just good-hearted as we are, sometimes they're not. So this contingency sort of just cuts right through that, and it gets straight to the point. Hey, we're going to work very hard for you. You're not going to owe anything except for your deductible, and that's it. So this just really spells it out right here in writing. And also on the back, there's an absolute ton of language on here. And we'll talk about here in just a second some of the language and how we pitch the contingency agreement. So let's get into that with Cliff, and we'll share some of his stories of failures and successes. And I'll share some of mine as well. So let's talk about this beautiful piece of paper here. We actually didn't start implementing this until, honestly, we had a lot of failure. So we used to be the roofing company that was going around and giving bids on insurance work, doing estimates on insurance work. And it's just not the way you do it. We all know that. And we can talk about that in many other videos. But with the contingency agreement here, our closing ratio went through the roof when we started implementing the contingency agreement. It really, I think, sets the tone for the homeowner or for the client in general, and it just says, hey, we're going to have time and money invested into this, and we want to know that you're committed to us. So the contingency is just contingent upon getting the roof approved and that they agree to do business with you. So let's lighten the mood a little bit here, and let's talk about some of the failures we've had. So Cliff, I know that I wasn't utilizing the contingency agreement, and I know that I tell you guys to always use it. And I always say, if they're not willing to sign a contingency agreement, usually they're going to, I'll just be blunt, they're going to screw you on the back end. Usually that's the case 90% of the time. Sometimes, you got that little old lady or just someone that just, I'm not going to sign it. I believe in a handshake. So those are a little different. But the mass majority, they need to sign this contingency agreement. So Cliff, have you got any horror stories you could share with us about contingency agreements?
I have a few, more than one. We'll stick to one individual. It was a large property. It was a tile roof to be exact, but homeowner, this was actually kind of when we first implemented the contingency agreements, and I wasn't full force in getting them filled out. Just I wasn't prepared, more or less. And of course, when it comes to the fact of a large roof, the homeowner gets a lot of money, and I came to Justin one day saying, hey, this customer is being real wacky. It feels like they're gonna be backing out. And what's the first thing Justin asked me? Did you get a contingency signed? And what was my answer? No. And what happened to that job? It's long gone. So I found the importance of it when that came along. I lost a huge job. It was probably going to be over $100,000 job, and all because I probably didn't get a contingency signed, which if I would have had it signed, we would have had the job done and billed already. So That's just one horror story. There's many other ones, but that's the first one that came to my mind because that was the one who got me to start filling them out on every customer, every insurance claim, I should say. Yeah, that was a bad deal. So what happens is these customers, they get this money in hand, and then they're like, oh, I want to paint the house, and I want to do this, do that, buy a pool. I want to not use any of the money and go on a vacation. And all of a sudden, oh, something came up, and they're not returning your phone calls and things like that. I'm just being 100% transparent. It happens. I know it happens. It happens multiple times, and we generally won't do business with people unless it's family or close friends or something like that, or just like I said, that exception, the little old lady or something just doesn't want to do that. We will generally not do business with someone who isn't willing to sign a contingency for this very reason. So it protects us, but it also lets them know in writing right here that all they're going to owe is just the deductible. Insurance proceeds with no additional cost to the property owner except the deductible. It puts it right there in writing. They sign off on it. It's golden. They know you set the expectations right up front, so they know exactly what you're going to do.
the whole entire time and know exactly what they're going to owe. And the contingency is just an absolute powerful thing.
It's clear, to the point, and it lets the homeowner know that we're working for them, and all we ask in return is they use us to do the roof if it gets approved. It's all contingent on what insurance approves. So
correct. Yeah. So if here's the thing, you can rip it up, and honestly, on the back of this, it tells you, by law in our state, they do have 3 days to cancel this. So and we tell them that too. Hey, one thing I'd say with the contingency agreement is on the back, there's a whole lot of verbiage on here, and what I encourage you to do is sign the contingency agreement. All the upfront language is on here, but on the back, there's a lot of language. I encourage you to read that. You're obviously not going to read it right now, and that's why you have 3 days to make a decision on this. So I encourage you over the next 3 days to actually read the whole entire back of this paper. If you have any concerns, please get up with me, but I think you'll like everything that's here in writing. Again, it just protects me, and it protects you as the homeowner. And we are going to work very hard, and we're going to have thousands of dollars in this, hundreds or thousands of dollars into this by the time we get done. So you take a small roof, you're going to have a week or more tied up into it, multiple visits to the property, multiple resources tied up. You're going to have over $1,000 into them that you've invested into them by the time that roof's approved. So we want to make approved. So we want to make sure that that they're committing to us as well. So this is the contingency agreement. Just drives it home. Guys, imagine it the other way around. So imagine if you're scared to get this contingency agreement signed because you're afraid you're going to lose the customer. Imagine if you're 3/4 of the way into this and you just got great news that the roof was approved, and that customer got that estimate from the insurance company, and then they start saying, well, I was talking with my neighbor and they said I should get 3 estimates. Next thing you know, you're in a battle, you're in a fight for that project because you didn't explain all of this up front via the contingency agreement, which is all explained on the back right here. So you're going to be in a lot worse situation just because you're in fear of actually getting the contingency agreement signed because you're afraid of losing the job on the front end. So we would rather lose the job on the front end than to put in potentially months of work on a tile roof or weeks of work on a shingle roof just to then lose it 3/4 of the way through, and we've done all the work just for them to be able to then go get a new pool or something for their home or whatever it may be because they're going to spend the money. I think most homeowners, they don't know the insurance process, so you tell them everything. You'd like to tell them up front, have them sign this, but if you explained it and then they didn't sign this, it gives them an open way to say, hey, I'm going to take suggestions from other people, which usually are their friends that, again, don't know anything about the insurance process, or their insurance agents, which are responsible for selling the policies. They start taking advice from those people. You don't have this contingency agreement signed. Next thing you know, they're doing what's illegal and not right, and they're shopping out the claim to try to get a lower price so that then they could buy a pool or paint their home with the additional money. Well, that's not the right thing to do, and it's not legal. So this contingency wraps all that up. If they will sign this contingency up front, you will leave this contingency with them. Make sure you get a picture of it. They have a nice folder with all their documentation in it. That really sets the tone for the whole entire claim process, and likely you're not going to get screwed over.
Next, we're going to kind of touch on how to get this contingency agreement inked. So a lot of people are kind of scared. They think, a contingency agreement, you're getting them to sign a contract before any work is done. If you pitch it the right way, you're actually going to make the customer feel more comfortable with the whole claims process. The way I personally do it is I explain to the homeowner that this is ensuring us as a contractor, you only pay your deductible. You're not going to ever pay a penny more. It's in writing and it's signed here. So no matter what, you're not going to have to worry about that. It also just explains it's contingent on what insurance approves. So this explains to them they're not going to be, if insurance doesn't approve anything, they're not going to owe you anything. That's why it's called a contingency agreement. It's all contingent if insurance approves the work.
So let's talk about the verbiage on the contingency agreement. So your customer is going to fill out all this information, or you, it depends on how you want to do it. You're going to sign at the bottom and print. They're going to print and sign at the bottom. And then this is the verbiage actually in the contingency agreement. So by signing this agreement, the property owners authorizes Ready Roofing Company, which of course your company name there, the company, to present its findings and scope of work for a project replacement or repair to the insurance company. When price from insurance company is determined, It shall become the final contract price of insurance proceeds with no additional cost to the property owner except the deductible. Upon the work being approved and funded by the insurance company, the property owner and company shall enter into a formal building contract to begin repairs for the approved price as paid by the insurance company, and within 30 days of payment being issued to property owner. Property owner authorizes the insurance company to make any payments jointly or directly to the company for completing the work. And I'm horrible at reading, so you have to excuse me. Property owner accepts the terms and conditions set out on the back for the appointment of the company. So this is all the verbiage that's on the back of this contingency agreement. Property owner may cancel this transaction at any time prior to midnight of the third business day after the date of this transaction. So this is when you're going to turn over to the back. So you can easily just write scope of work, full roof replacement per insurance scope. That should cover you pretty good on almost everything. They'll sign, you'll sign, flip over to the back. There's a ton of verbiage on here. It's going to be different for your state, but the verbiage, they're not going to read it right there in front of you. So you'll say the reason why you have 3 days to cancel is because there's a lot of verbiage on the back here. Some people call it mouse print. So all the mouse print is on the back. I encourage you over the next 3 days just to read all of this. You're probably not going to read it right here in front of me. You're more than welcome to if you like, but it may take some time. Go over this in the next 3 days. If you have any questions at all, let me know. I don't think you're going to find anything in here that you disagree with, but should you have any questions about anything, feel free to reach out to me. And that's all the verbiage of the contingency agreement. All right, guys, just some closing notes on the contingency agreements. They do work. It's proven. We know that they work. We know that they'll work for you. Get them signed, guys. Don't be scared. Leave them with a nice folder. Take a picture of the contingency for your CRM and just slide it into a folder for them so they always have something to look at and reference that's sitting on their kitchen table.